I confess that I didn't join the military out of patriotism or a lifelong dream. It was survival, a way out of a life that I felt like it was a dead end. I grew up Greek in a household where my future was already written, and I was supposed to marry a nice Greek boy, have beautiful Greek babies, and carry on traditions that have been in place for generations. And no, we didn't use Windex for acne or other ailments. We used olive oil and prayer and the guilt of disappointing our ancestors. And look, there's nothing wrong with getting married and having babies. That's a very honorable path. It's a beautiful one. But for me, I felt like it was a slow, suffocating march toward an invisible deadline. Like I was being funneled into a future that just didn't belong to me. The problem was in my family, this wasn't seen as an option. It was just the way. So I did what any strong willed, slightly dramatic woman does when faced with an expectation that she wants no part of. I looked for the most extreme, most opposite escape I could find. And that's when I met her, the recruiter. She showed up at my high school, all smiles and promises, handing out brochures that made the military look like a cross between a world tour and an Ivy League education. But I wanted freedom, not just moving out of my parents' house type of freedom, but real, undeniable, no one can tell me what to do freedom. So I took the ASVAB, the military entrance exam, and scored pretty well. Well enough that suddenly our phone wouldn't stop ringing. The recruiters were relentless. She made it seem so glamorous. You'll travel the world. You'll get all these amazing benefits. You get to pick where you'll be stationed, which turned out to be the biggest lie of them all. And I wanted to believe her, so I did the unthinkable. I told my father. Now, if you've ever met an old Greek man, let me paint the picture. Arms crossed, a look that could burn through steel, and an expression of a complete and utter disbelief. Why? Why you do this? What did I do wrong? I didn't know how to explain it. How do you tell someone that you love them, but you can't live the life that they planned for you? That you feel like you're drowning in expectations that just don't fit? So I turned to my mother, hoping for an ally, and she looked at me for a long moment and sighed and said, she's just not meant to just be a housewife. That was it. That was all it took. My father hated the idea, but he drove me to the MEP station in San Diego anyways. That drive, it was dead silent. I can hear his fingertips tapping on the steering wheel. And just before we got there, he finally spoke. You can still change your mind, Kukla. You don't have to do this. I didn't change my mind. I was scared. I was unsure, but I also didn't want to chicken out. I had pride and didn't want to look like a quitter. And then before I knew it, I was at basic training, standing in a room full of strangers at 4:30 in the morning, getting screamed at by a man who clearly loved his job a little too much. It was a shock. I was exhausted, I was hungry, I was questioning every choice I had ever made, but I was also free. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't just following a script someone else had written. The Air Force gave me everything I didn't know I needed. It made me stronger. It made me resilient. It made me appreciate my country and see hardships around the world that I never could have imagined. And the biggest irony of it all, the thing that I was running away from, it ended up finding me anyways. At 24, I got married, I had kids, and the very thing that I thought I was escaping happened anyways. But I made sure it was on my own terms. And my father, that man who had been so against it all when he held his first grandchild, he looked at me and said, you always had to do things your own way. And he was right. That is why, looking back now, I realized what started out as an escape became the foundation of the person I was always meant to be. Yes, I got married, but I still have freedom. And I did it on my own terms. So in the end, we both got what we wanted.
Woohoo! All right.